Alright, boys and girls, welcome back to another Mike Papa Milsurp ammo teardown. We have our calipers, we have our scale, and we have Tortorson Mark II, Tortorson Harder, and a plethora of military surplus ammo to take apart. So, let's see what's on the docket today, shall we? Alright, boys and girls, this is the fourth iteration of 7.62x54R on ye ol' Mike Papa Milsurp channel, and hopefully this is the good stuff. So far we've had everything with steel jackets, but nothing with a steel core. But we finally have some SIlvertip, what I hope is the AP Bulgarian surplus ammo, but we will soon find out. It's almost like there's a two-tone to that SIlvertip, with a darker gray on the outside and a lighter gray towards the bullet tip. I don't know if you guys can see that transition as well as I can. Definitely looks like, yeah, it's a two-step to it, with a darker gray on the tip and a lighter silver on the body of the bullet. Take a look at the head stamps here. Of course, I don't know where these came from. I just opened up that package. I just remember my buddy said he had some and he traded me ammo for this stuff. So we've got a 10, which is the Bulgarians love the number 10. If anyone knows why, please drop that in the comment section. 1971, what I believe is Bulgarian SIlvertip surplus. Very, very cool. Let's go ahead and take some measurements of these guys. 76.5 millimeters overall length, 3 inches and 14 thousandths. Let's take a measurement of the base here and take a couple more measurements. Of course, for those of you who don't know, this is definitely steel. This is not copper. A lot of people don't understand the copper plating slash copper wash they put on the outside of these. It's basically for reliability feeding, much like why we have polymer and lacquer coatings on our ammo today. The red band is a lacquer sealant to keep moisture out. That's why it's around the primer as well, as you guys saw me zoom in on that. But I used to be able to buy this stuff in the 440 round spam cans for about $100. If you want it today, it's twice that much on the interwebs, especially during the coronavirus season. I wouldn't be surprised if it's even more than that. 7.62x54R is used by basically every communist country through the 80s and 90s, and still in the use in the Middle East today. I mean, the PKM and the Pechneg's probably still in service. 7.62x39, obviously for smaller arms. And then their version of the 50 BMG, whatever the 12.7 is. It's their heavy machine gun round, but it's the longest serving rifle round in the history of cartridges, which is pretty cool. And this is like the epitome of cool, is this Bulgarian SIlvertip, because you can still get it, and it used to be very, very inexpensive, which I'm sure I started buying this stuff 5-6 years ago. I'm sure before that it was even cheaper than 50 cents a shot. So I think I was buying it 44 cents a round after tax when I actually bought stuff in stores, which was definitely worse than buying stuff online with a closer to 3 to 5% tax rate. So let's do some research on these, see what they are. All right, let's go to Old Faithful here. 62x54R.net and Bulgaria. They have a brass 10/35, and they don't have a SIlvertip projectile. But China, they have a steel core light ball SIlvertip, as well as Hungarian. Let's see if we can find a reference to this stuff a little bit more direct, because for whatever reason that one does not. If you look at, that's not even on that chart. Interesting. So this is very strange, because I can find the circle, or not the circle 10, just the 10 date code on both mosinagaunt.net and our tried and true 7.62x54R.net, but neither of them have reference to the SIlvertip that we know so well today to be the light ball, armor piercing, or steel core, whatever it may be. But it says the early Bulgarian head stamps followed their pre-war standards for marking 8x56mm, which is the moniker, using a line at 12 o'clock, Cyrillic F and V at 9 and 3 o'clock, and date code at 6 o'clock. Beginning in the early 1950s, they modified this to a star at the 12 o'clock, which I believe we've covered previously. Arsenal code 10 at 3 o'clock, and a date code at 6 o'clock. By the 60s, Bulgarians were following the Warsaw Pact standards completely. Arsenal code 10 was at 12 o'clock, and the date code, which was what we read off earlier, we had a 10 at the top and a 71 at the bottom, so this is 1971 production stuff. Brass casings were used until the 60s, when replaced with copper wash steel. Cartridges were packed in paper wrap bundles of 10 and 300 round tins until the 60s, more conventional 20 round bundles and 440 round spam cans. But the only image they have is the 1953 D ball, 1955 D ball, the 1987 LPS ball, and 1991 tracer, blank, dummy, and dummy. So for some reason I can't find reference to the Bulgarian SIlvertip being a thing in any of these a little bit more formal websites, and even the clashconnection.com, there isn't a SIlvertip copper wash projectile. So I find it very strange that this is the most prominent ammo I know of, and I can't find a reference to it on the interwebs. You can still buy, if you go to 308ammo.com, they have the Bulgarian surplus 7.62 light ball steel core. It hurts my soul. $210 for a 440 round spam can, which is still a pretty decent price. It's 50 cents a round after shipping, I'm sure. But considering I used to buy this for $100 less than that, that hurts. So that kind of stinks. What would that be? $120 divided by 440. I used to be able to get this stuff for 28 cents a round, and it's since doubled in 6 years, which is truly tragic. But I find it very, very strange that I can't find a more professional looking reference in that. So with that being said, let's go ahead and do what we came here for and give this ammo a whack. Alright, we're all ready here to give her a nice whack. Hiya! Hang it! There we go. 2 strikes and she's free. This one I think should yield a little more interesting of a grind if it's really got that steel core in it. Now this doesn't really mean it's AP. We'll test against some level 3 body armor. But just because it's got a steel core doesn't mean it's a hard steel core. It's probably just a filler. But who knows? We shall see. So you can grab this projectile here. Got some extruded powder. Just lost a couple granules there. A lot of granules there. So I'm guessing this is another 50 grain payload, because I lost quite a bit there. A little in there for my homies. 49.5, 50 grains, just like basically all the other ones we pulled apart. This projectile looks pretty freaking sweet though. It's a very clean looking projectile comparatively speaking. Nice high shimmer polish, got much more of a candler than the other ones. And a very nice boat tail as well compared to the other ones. Take a look at this casing here, see if we can see down in the gullet. Look at the Teardown primer. There it is, 2 flash holes on either side of the anvil. And nice little ruby lipstick on the lacquer seal there. And yeah, that's a very clean looking projectile, I must say, compared to all the other ones anyway. Go ahead and fill this case back up. These little stick boys. Look at those little guys. Nitrocellulose stick powder. And we'll go ahead and weigh the projectile. 148 grains. So yeah, they're all around 147 grain regardless of what the inside looks like, which we'll take a look at that right now. Well, boys and girls, I can definitely tell you that the hardness of this one is a lot higher. It made a whole lot more sparks. It took a lot longer and it got a lot hotter than the other ones were, but you can see the same thing. Really no telling if there's a steel core inside of here, because you still just have the jacket that transitions to whatever the core of this thing is. I'd imagine they're all probably a steel bimetal core and a steel bimetal jacket. But there's really no definite saying on whether or not there was an actual steel core in there, because you can see I made about halfway there. And every time I'd grind, I'd take a look at it, and it looked like this throughout. But yeah, kind of hard to tell. I know the stuff hits pretty hard, having shot so many rounds of it over the years, and most Nagant's steel plates. The shooting target 7 half-inch steel plate, it didn't go through, but it definitely made some nice dents. It was a very, very old video. But yeah, check out the Mike Papakilo YouTube channel. We'll be shooting this against some level 3 armor sometime in the next year. It depends on when we get around to it, but yeah, really no distinction as to whether or not this has a steel core in it. But thanks for watching. It's been a very interesting series for the 7.62x54s. Maybe I'll find more in my many stashes, but that is it for 7.62x54 for now. Thank you for watching. Check out our sponsors at the Mike Papakilo YouTube channel. Check us out on library.tv, because YouTube does not support gun ownership, and as always, don't ride that slide home.